everyone, welcome to our podcast. I'm Sally.
I'm Linda.
I'm Ming.
And we're moving Oolong. Thank you for all the support after our first episode. We're actually really surprised at all the positive comments, and we read all of them, so thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, to start off, let's go ahead with our weekly update. Ming, why don't you go first?
Right, so my week was pretty boring. It was just studying for finals because finals have officially started. I had a lot just spread out, I'd say, so it was mostly just going to different places around campus, trying to get away from all the crowded study spots. I think you all can relate to that because even on this huge campus, it's like really hard to find a small, quiet spot to study in.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I was trying to find spots to study in. I got some good feedback about my essay for Asian American Studies, so that was pretty nice to hear. I was super worried about it, and then it turned out to be a really good paper for me. But yeah, in general, just stressing out. I had a bunch of 8 a.m. finals, so I'm glad that I'm officially done with all my formal tests. What about you guys?
So it's finals week for all of us, so just taking tests every day, but when we're working, or at least for me, when I'm working on school, I want to draw a lot more just to kind of get away from writing essays or thinking about school. And I got another design job for logo designing, so I'm very excited for that, and I'm thankful for people who want to work with me. Yeah, what about you?
Yeah, you guys should peep her Instagram. She has a whole art Instagram, but
yeah, I don't advertise it, so
well, I just
Say your
did.
handle.
Say your handle.
I don't want to say it.
Say
At
it.
Bubble Tea.
BUPPLETEA.
Yeah. I kind of could relate to that too because when Sally and I were studying together, we kept talking about the podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was to distract ourselves from studying or because we were so excited about this new adventure, but we could not focus.
Yeah, so making this podcast is something that's really exciting for us, and I hope that we can continue into the future.
Do you guys have any finals left or?
One on Monday.
Yeah. One on Tuesday. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not too worried.
Yeah. Sally, how was your week?
I've been getting into crocheting as a way to procrastinate, mostly. But yeah, I had this really nice lab lunch on Thursday, and we went to Olive Garden, which isn't the best food, but we did it kind of as a troll because everyone hates Olive Garden and lab except for this one guy who's graduating, so we did it as a present for him. We all went to Olive Garden.
Remember the meme about taking the breadsticks?
Oh my god!
Did you get breadsticks?
We got a lot of breadsticks.
That's the only redeeming quality about Olive Garden. Yeah. I feel like. Okay, so let's jump into the topic for today's podcast. We're gonna talk about Myers-Briggs, which you might not have heard of before, but I first heard about it doing orientation. It was we had a whole class just talking about Myers-Briggs and personality tests and what we can learn from it, what the strengths and weaknesses were. So we did that, and then after that, I became not obsessed really, but more just really interested in it because I felt like my personality lined up with what I was given, or so I thought, which we'll talk about later. But I got really into personality tests, and then Linda's always been into astrology, so having that personality on top of that, I just love categorizing people, I guess. So that's where I first heard about it. Had you guys heard about it before, Myers-Briggs?
I feel like I heard about it before college, but the first memory I have really of it is in my UNIV class. We're all required to do the Myers-Briggs test and I don't know, talk about our results with our classmates, which I didn't really like that class, to be honest. But I don't know, I thought it was interesting at the time, but I didn't really resonate. I didn't really think about it that much after we had that assignment. So this was interesting to retake the test and see if I still believe in what they say.
Right. Even after we've taken it a few times, everyone was forced to take it for this podcast episode. Yeah. Linda, had you heard about it before?
Yeah, I heard about it in high school. I think it was just a thing online people were doing it, but I feel the appeal of taking personality tests and categorizing people is very strong. The movies where it's which character are you, or which Hogwarts house are you in. So there is that appeal to kind of relate yourself to different groups and find a kind of belonging or just special characteristic. But I do appreciate astrology more just because it seems more, I don't know, because MBTIs are talking about is connected to careers, like more practical things in life. And I kind of appreciate how astrology was just like pretty personal and is like whatever you like. I think it's like romantic thing about like planets and like stars and how what it might mean to people.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Astrology episode is coming soon.
Yeah, I think the same way about astrology, and it's so popular with like YouTubers and celebrities nowadays. But let's really talk about Myers-Briggs because that's what our episode is about today. So the Myers-Briggs test is a personality test that was first developed in the 1920s, and it was based on Carl Jung's psychology research. So I first heard about him in AP Psych, but I didn't hear about this test until college. So basically, if you guys haven't heard of it yet, we use the 16 Personalities website because it gives a really clear definition. It has the test, it has all the personalities, and like each little character has like a little cute name. So we're gonna base all of our information off of that website today. But basically, they break it down, and it's broken down into 6 different letters that you're assigned to. So the first one I think is the easiest one to understand, and it talks about like the mind. So are you an introvert or are you extrovert? I feel like most people already know that intuitively, like what they are. That's like a common term. So that's probably the easiest one to understand. And then after that, so for introvert and extrovert, you get an I or an E, and that's the first letter in your personality. Yeah. Personality. And then after that is energy. So this one is kind of harder to understand, but it's how you process information and how you like see it around you. And so you're either observant or intuitive, and for that you either get an S or an N. And that's a little harder to understand. Like I still have difficulties understanding it, but the 16 Personalities website has a really good explanation if you guys want to check that out. And then after that is nature, how you make decisions. So you either make it based off of facts, using thinking as T, or feeling, how you feel on the inside. Your emotions kind of guide you more than firm facts. And then after that, there's tactics, or how you approach work situations. So are you really like type A, where you're focusing a lot on making lists and scheduling yourself? If so, you would be judging. And if not, if you're more of the type B, very chill, relaxed, go with the flow, you're more of a perspective, P. And then finally, we have identity or confidence. And this category wasn't originally in the first test, but 16 Personalities added it on to be more specific. And I think it really... at least I connect to this one a lot because it's how you feel confident or lack of confidence more like, or if you ever question yourself. I think a lot of anxiety can be shown in this category, I'd say. So you're either assertive for an A or turbulent as T. So we'll go through our personality types, but that's just kind of an overall understanding. But second of all, we want to say before we really get into it is to take this test with a grain of salt. I'll talk about it later on, but what I thought was like my personality type, and like I totally agree with it. I was either like following a Reddit page for it. I was like in deep, and then I took the test a few times recently, and I realized that I'm actually something else. So like all tests, like even BuzzFeed quizzes and everything like that, it's just like something to be taken with a grain of salt, and like don't let it define you, because at the end of the day, it's just a way that humans categorize other humans, right? So, do you want to get started, Sally?
Okay. So, according to the test, I am an ISTP-T, or a virtuoso. So, their description of this personality is that virtuosos love to explore with their hands and their eyes, touching and examining the world around them with cool rationalism and spirited curiosity. We are natural makers, and we move along from project to project. So I really resonate with the liking to make things with my hands, and also moving along like project to project, because I don't know, I get like bored easily with stuff that I do, and like pick up hobbies like on and off, and
Like
like crocheting.
Or making shorts.
Oh yeah, I had this phase where I sewed like shorts.
Amazing shorts, the softest.
But yeah, I like to try new things out, but I don't really stick to one thing. And yeah, I like to just, I don't know, casually try things out. So in terms of jobs, virtuosos are born problem solvers with unwavering focus on practical solutions, though perhaps not always solutions to practical problems. No other type is quite as fascinated by how things work, how tools can be used, and how facts can be put together to create immediate and satisfying results. This combination of curiosity and hands-on vigor make people with a virtuoso personality type excellent mechanics, engineers, graphic designers, and forensic scientists. And some other jobs that resonate with virtuoso personalities are jobs that focus on crisis response, such as firefighters, which is not really something that I expected. Oh, also paramedics, detectives, pilots, and police officers.
Wow.
Which I do not agree with because I could not handle that kind of like stress. I don't do well in like a high stress environment. But
so you definitely more resonate with like the mechanic.
Yeah,
side
like
of
doing
it?
stuff with my hands. Actually, one of the fields that I applied to for grad school was bioengineering, so I wanted to try something new out, but I don't know. Okay, enough about me. So let's see what Linda had as a result.
So I had the INFJ result, and this is the advocate personality. So according to the website, this personality type is very rare, making up less than 1% of the population.
That's what they
Yeah.
said for mine too.
I mean, we're not
They're
clear
lying.
about what the population is like the global population, or
I don't know, what's their sample size?
yeah, or just like people who took the
We need to
MBTI
investigate 16
test.
personalities.
Its validity. So advocates have an inborn sense of idealism and morality, but what sets them apart is that they are not idle dreamers. And then this manifests in concrete steps in realizing goals and to make lasting positive impacts. So people with this personality type tend to see helping others as a purpose in life. And it also includes a real passion to get to the heart of the issue. So people don't need help at all, but kind of get to where they can help themselves. So this desire to help people and connect makes careers in healthcare and also more holistic varieties very rewarding. So this includes roles as counselors, psychologists, doctors, life coaches, spiritual guides. And then advocates also pursue expressive careers such as writing, music, photography, design, and art. And they focus on themes of personal growth, morality, and spirituality. So this does sound like me.
Like
does.
100%.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you are.
Like 100.
I was kind of shocked because I was taking the MBTI test with a big grain of salt. So I do appreciate this kind of holistic, like well-rounded personality that I can really like identify with. So as like a public health major, I do resonate with holistic healthcare. My family does kind of traditional medicine. We do like fire cupping, like Tai Chi, stuff like that. So I grew up with it and I really appreciate.
Tai Chi is holistic medicine.
I mean, it's like holistic health
Like
because
whole body kind
yeah.
of feeling.
yeah.
The
So it's
energy.
like exercising as a form of like healing. And yeah, I do enjoy art and creativity, and I feel like being interdisciplinary is like a big focus in my life. So yeah.
Does this change your perception of whether the Myers-Briggs test is a good indicator for like categories of people? I don't know.
I mean, with like 16 different personalities, I feel like anyone would be able to fit in would be able to fit into one. I think what my supervisor said there's only 6 types of people who look alike in the world.
Like
So,
physically look alike?
yeah, physically look alike. Like 6 types of like faces.
Like
Huh?
face structure?
Yeah, like face
Like
structure.
roundness of the face and like the shape of the eyes.
I feel like roundness
that
could be a factor.
It's
interesting.
definitely a factor for me, but like...
Yeah.
I feel like there's way more than that.
But there can be like any combination of these letters, so people can really identify themselves with it.
I think when I first heard that your little person was called an advocate, like, that makes sense. Like, if you know
Yeah.
Linda at all, as a former employee of, like, MICA, which is our kind of, you would say, like, maybe diversity office on campus.
Yeah.
Like, Linda used to work for that, an advocate right there. And so I think it makes sense, especially when you hear about the more, like, artsy side of it, not just healthcare. So, yeah. I'm like an ex-INFJ. I was so sad to give that up, but hearing it for you totally makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
I barely see myself in it now.
Okay, what do you see yourself in now?
Well, because when I first took the test freshman year, I got a strong INFJ, and I was like, yes, I relate to this. But then you got INFJ, and then I was like,
we are not the same.
we are not the same. Our personalities are definitely, we have similar stuff. Like, we're both introverts, I would say, but there's, like, definitely something different between us. So I was like, one of us is wrong. So, like, we both took the test again, and then I got ISFJ, T, the defender, and I was like, what is this? Like, I don't like how this sounds. It doesn't roll off the tongue as easily, but when I read more into it, it definitely makes sense. So the defender personality type is, again, like all of you guys, quite unique, according to the website, as many of their qualities defy the definition of their individual traits. Though sensitive, defenders have an excellent analytical abilities. Though reserved, they have well-developed people skills and robust social relationships. And though they are generally a conservative type, they're often receptive to change and new ideas. And it says that it makes up 13% of the population. Again, we don't really know what population they're referring to, but like 13% is a lot bigger than 1%. So I definitely relate to...
Especially out of 16 total ones.
Yeah.
It makes up a decent amount, but funnily enough, I've met more INFJs, I think, than... Anyway, for jobs, it says that defender personalities prefer to be rewarded by seeing firsthand the positive impact of their efforts, and will remain enthusiastic simply knowing that what they do is genuinely appreciated by the people they care for. This makes them natural counselors, technical support, and interior designers, where they are able to help others one-on-one without having to worry about corporate politics. Their strong, well-developed institutions like Minded Friends are attractive workplaces for people with the defender personality type, and careers such as elementary school, nurses, and social and religious workers are attractive options. I'd say I definitely relate to the first part when it's talking about the personality in general, because I feel like I'm kind of like contradictory when I think about it, because I'm definitely an introvert. Like, I definitely need time to recharge and like be by myself, but especially among like maybe you two, I find that like sometimes I'm more willing to be social. Or
with us, or
no,
when you're
like
with us?
more like strangers, I guess, because when I think about like when we go to TASA,
you're the most social out of us.
I would
when we
say
go to
yes,
TASA.
but it's surprising because around other people, like some of our other friends that we know, we're all more conservative and quiet. But I guess in comparison to other people, I am more outgoing, and I think that's definitely changed since college, because in high school I was pretty quiet, but I do find that I like interacting with people more, but I still need like time to recharge. And I think it's true what they say about like me being kind of conservative but also open to new ideas. I think I definitely am conservative, and like I like tradition kind of, and I like the idea of like not rules necessarily, but like
bullet journaling
and having things in place and knowing what to expect. But also I'm not politically conservative at all, so like in different ways it's kind of contradictory. And then when it comes to like the jobs, first of all, I would never be an elementary school teacher. Like, I could not imagine wrangling kids, let alone teaching them, so that's definitely off for me. But I get what they're saying about how like you want to help people one-on-one and see that your help is like helping others, I guess. So in that sense, yes. I don't know, I guess the closest thing that I would like to do is interior design.
I knew it.
Because I like that creative. I like the mix of creative and like interacting with people, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, for all of us, like how it...
I can see interior designing because it's like creative, and you're like left with a product that you can... it helps people because they're living in that space. They can feel good in it, so...
Yeah, I agree with like helping others one-on-one was something you seem like you'd be interested in.
Like counselors, like being RA and stuff like
that.
RA. I feel for all of us, we're all like kind-hearted people.
I think you're the natural counselor, because everyone goes to you for their like relationship advice
for some reason. Yeah, but this test is like helpful to see maybe what your strengths and weaknesses might be, but it definitely isn't like the end-all be-all, because as we'll talk really quickly soon, we're going to talk about what careers we're actually interested in and kind of compare that to the test results. Okay, so now that we have a general understanding of the Myers-Briggs test and we have all gone through our own personality types, we're going to delve deeper into careers and how it might agree with our test results and might not, and what we plan to do post-grad. So Sally, why don't you get started again?
Okay, so in high school, I actually had no really clear idea of what I really wanted to do. I knew I was good at like science and math, and I really liked art, but I didn't think I wanted to make a career out of that. But one thing, sounds kind of silly now, but like one thing I really liked or thought about doing was plastic surgeon.
Ooh, I remember that.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, I can combine like designing and like science, medical school. I don't know. But then as I entered like freshman year of college, I was like, I'll just like say like medical school and see where that takes me. So I joined like AMSA, and I did not like
I think
it.
we all went to the first meeting.
And
Define AMSA.
Yeah.
Oh, American Medical Student Association, I think. Yeah, people there were very intense. And I went to one of the pre-health advising workshops or something, and then the people there were very scary. They were like, if you get 1B, you are basically like not on track to be in med school. So I was like, as a biochem major, my classes were very hard, and I got many Bs, and I was just like, there's no hope. Like I can't like my grades, my GPA, like I don't think I can get to med school. And also like as my friends were like getting scribing positions and like volunteering in hospitals, I was like, I didn't really feel passionate about it, and I didn't really want to like dedicate so much time to pursue something that I wasn't really passionate about. So I went back and like tried to figure out what else I could do. And then at the time, I think I was starting to do research at my on-campus lab. And so the research there was about like reproductive, like evolutionary biology and
Mice.
in mice. It's very like interdisciplinary, I guess. So it was really interesting, like seeing all these different like facets of science like come together. We did like some molecular biology and some I don't know, reproductive stuff. So that was pretty cool. I wasn't really sure that this was something I wanted to do post-grad, but I thought like doing research would be something I would be interested in. So that's how I decided to kind of pursue a PhD after college in like biology research. And then, first off, I decided to do a PhD instead of a master's because my mom's advice was that a master's won't get you far in terms of biology because you'll always be limited. You can't step up to like a higher like manager position. And, you know, you're always going to be limited and you're going to regret not doing a PhD.
And your mom has experience in this field,
yeah,
right?
She actually only got a master's herself. And she says that a lot of her colleagues, like, kind of, like, feel like she's not, like, because she's in a pretty, like, high up position in the FDA. And, like, a lot of her colleagues who, like, or they might have, like, PhDs or, like, they want to go up to her position, like, can't because she's in the position and there aren't any open positions and they're kind of like, oh, I don't think she deserves to be there sometimes. So she kind of feels, like, awkward about that situation. So, yeah, that was her advice to me. So, and I agree with it. You always want to try to expand your opportunity. So I think PhD is a good idea.
Do you think that seeing your peers in college who were pre-med like helped you or helped clarify the decision that you didn't want to do pre-med, or you felt like you were comparing themselves, or maybe both? Like,
I think a combination of both, because I would compare myself to like their grades. I know like I have a lot of friends in my major actually who have like great grades or great GPA, and they're able to pull it off, but I was just like, it's not for me. I don't know how they're doing it, but yeah, they seem to really enjoy pre-med, and they're able to like keep up with their studies, which is pretty amazing.
Do you think that like if you had the grades and everything, do you still think you have the interest in being a medical doctor, or like you realize like even with the grades you wouldn't be interested?
I don't know. I feel like even with the grades, I wasn't really passionate about it. Like learning about, I don't know, just learning about like diseases and like because I took just this year I took microbial pathogenesis, and a lot of it was like directed to like, because a lot of the students in my class are pre-med, and a lot of it was directed to like the symptoms and like how to diagnose and stuff like that, and I wasn't really that interested in it. I'm more interested in like the molecular mechanisms of how like these bacteria and viruses work. So yeah.
So PhD is more like advancing knowledge.
Yeah, I really like
Medicine is,
learning.
Like, limited.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like the trial and error of like research. So I think that's a challenge for me. Yeah.
The virtuoso type doesn't seem to include like research or anything. I mean, detective or
Well, in
forensic
broad
scientist,
terms,
yeah.
it's like you like to be a problem solver and like unwavering focus on practical solutions. So I guess that kind of fits.
I definitely see it applied, especially when you were talking about how you want to go into a bioengineering program, and it specifically says engineering. You definitely are more of the hands-on type person, because even when you were explaining to us about like what you do in lab with mice testes,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, okay, but you seemed like really into like the actual hands-on component
Yeah,
of it.
I really like lab work. It's like a mind-numbing, like, but also it's interesting because I don't know. You get to dissect. You get to do like a lot of different things. I get to dissect mice. I get to like pipetting is just a basic
Boring.
activity.
It is so
Oh my
boring.
gosh! But yeah, I get to make slides out of the testes, like embed them in wax and stuff like that, which is pretty cool.
So I would say like, have you worked in a bio lab?
Nah.
Okay, so I worked in a bio lab. This quotation marks.
You can't count it.
Sophomore year, it was like this lab. I thought this was a chance to get, and it was a chance to get like lab experience, but it was more of a class teaching you how to work in a lab more than actual lab like experience, I'd say. But even there, I know that I am completely different from Sally, because pipetting and even doing more than just pipetting, running actual like DNA PCR tests bored me to death. I could not wait until I could get out of lab, but I had to get a certain number of hours to get credits. So in that way, we're really different. So how would you, or what advice would you give to people who like want to see if lab work is for them, but like they're not sure?
Yeah, so definitely what I would say is pick a lab that you're actually interested in, because
My
even
mistake.
because your experience in the lab really like matters a lot. And even if it's not something you're entirely interested in, if you're like interested in learning like one technique, or if you like the people or the PI, you think they're really smart, like that will influence your opinion of like research in general. And I have a lot of friends who like after, I don't know, like a first or second like lab experience, like they fall in love with the subject that they're doing, like even undergrad. So
How did you find your lab?
I found it actually through my genetics professor, Dr.
Oh,
Putzel, who I had lunch with this week.
Wow, okay, flex.
Wow.
That was she came to our lab lunch. But yeah, she put it on like an announcement at the end of class. And I was looking for like a research opportunity, so I just reached out, and they accepted me.
So is it her lab, or she was just
No,
connecting you?
she I think she's friends with my PI.
Oh, okay. Wow, we gotta
Yeah.
love Putzel. I always want to say pretzel, but yeah, that's really interesting. And I
Yeah.
think for a lot of people, especially maybe Asian American females going into college, at least I had this perception that
Yeah.
I would be pre-health, pre-med maybe, and I think Linda, you did too, like pre-PA, pre-health. And everyone I meet is always like, yeah, I want to be like pre-med, especially in the major. Linda and I are in public health science. It's a lot of people who used to be pre-med. So yeah, I think we all have that experience of starting out, but it really, I think, depends on how you do in your classes, but also the experience you get, because how are you supposed to know that you want to do this and like go to school for another 4 years without like really getting that experience?
Yeah.
Also coming from like science and tech
that's
program
a good
kind of
definitely.
like primed us to
Can you
go
explain
into
that a
STEM.
little more?
So the high school we went to had like a magnet program for science and technology, where we were kind of encouraged to take STEM classes more. So for me personally, it made learning seem like just associated with STEM, so I didn't know how to like learn and research in the humanities until I came to college, and that kind of influenced me into doing public
They've
health
actually
science.
revamped the science and tech program. Now they have more different like
That's good.
focuses. They have like 4 different focuses instead of just STEM.
Yeah, because I'd
is
really
nice.
say the science and tech program that we were, because we all went to the same high school, and I think it was a good program. Everyone wanted to test into it. It was a good opportunity, and it had accelerated classes, but it did really narrow my mindset of what I could do. I could either, in my mind, I could either do like pre-med, medicine, research, or maybe business. I don't know. I guess people do that, but
I don't
like
think anyone went to business. Well, like now some
Right,
people went to business, but
it was
back
very,
then-
very science heavy, and
Yeah.
that's a good thing that, like Linda said, it doesn't, like, I didn't even know you could do research in the humanities. Like, what
Yeah.
is that?
Yeah.
All I knew of was the scientific method, and is that even applied in the humanities? Why don't you talk more about, like, your experience?
So I work in a psychology lab, so there's more like social sciences, but it's called the Gender, Culture, and Health Lab, so it has a lot of like interdisciplinary things. And what we're talking about, like the process, it's not really like the scientific process, which is like hypotheses and things like that. You just find a thing that you want to research in, and then there's different methodologies. For me, I did like grounded theory, which is like interviewing. There's like surveys, there's focus groups, there's like curriculum building. So a lot of that was completely new to me, and I really enjoyed learning about it.
So for your research, is it mostly like interview based, and like do you conduct like, I don't know, controlled trials or something with people? I don't know.
So a lot of it is like survey based, where like different measures for like eating symptoms, for like racial identity, things like that. But there's also, we do like intervention based things. Like for example, we had like a masculinity study where we interview people based on different masculine norms and how they felt, and they can kind of work through that through the questions that we gave to them.
Yeah, that sounds really cool, and I remember hearing about that lab. But yeah, it's a totally different like perception between like Sally's lab and Linda's lab.
Yeah.
Can you like explain, kind of, because we all came from the same high school, so how did you get into this rather than going into the same path Sally did?
I guess like after getting more into college and learning about like identity politics and things like that, I wanted to learn more in that field, and I think we applied to the lab, and that's how I heard about it.
You applied to it too?
I applied. I was rejected. A harsh blow. But honestly, Linda like is doing excellent in the lab, and I didn't get it for a reason, so no shade there. But like,
yeah.
But because you came in as public health, right? So I didn't even know that was a major yet, but that's what I am now. So I guess, were you still holding on to the science and tech idea of health, or like where do you see yourself taking this, and like, and now you have a second major?
So like public health is very interdisciplinary, and I think now I know how to pick out stuff that I like. So I really enjoy maternal and child health. I did not enjoy like epidemiology, like finding the incidence, finding the prevalence, like no.
I did a lot of them in micro class too. Not a fan.
Yeah. Not doing any of that, but I still want to take away the aspect of public health that values like well-being, that values like health equity, because it's just like, I feel like healthcare is kind of like the purest form of labor. Like you're benefiting someone so directly, like no matter like what it is, like helping someone be healthy is always a good thing.
And that sounds familiar to what your
MBTI.
your INFJ personality type is, like the purest form of helping. I think they mentioned healthcare was like in one of them, but I know you don't want to go into healthcare like directly.
Also like things like childcare and things like that is very like intrinsically helpful, unlike things that are more like business and things like that, where it's more like tangentially helpful. You don't see the effects as directly. But also thinking about like, I don't know, I kind of don't want to connect personality to jobs that much, because it is, I don't know, it's like it can be problematic to say like, oh, you should do something you love, or like you're pressured to do something you love.
That's a privileged like idea.
Yeah, and like that's not available for anyone, so for like everyone. So sometimes you have a job that you don't like that much, but you have other like aspects of your life, like your friends, your hobbies, things like that make you fulfilled. That kind of goes along with your.
So your job isn't your entire life.
Yeah, like your company is not your family. Like they don't like value you.
Yeah, there are definitely differences in how people perceive their jobs. Because I would say for some people, they're very much like their job is their life, and if they can't like work in a job that they're passionate about, then like what's the point of working at all? But for some other people, that either is a privilege that they don't have, or they're more of just like, I work to make money so I can live and then hang out with my friends and family. So it's like definitely different. Like, where do you guys lay?
I feel like I'm kind of in the middle. Like my job should be something that I enjoy doing, but it doesn't have to be something that like takes up my entire life, I guess. I want to have like a life outside my job and pursue other things like hobbies, or I don't know, friendships, stuff, and like, you know, travel. So yeah, what about you?
Like, I think the field that I want to go into is kind of connected to, like, identity more, so it's kind of hard to separate yourself from your job, especially if you're doing research surrounding, like, Asian American identity, like, racial politics, gender, sexuality, so these are all, like, dimensions of identity that we kind of experience in. We have different life experiences, so doing research in that field can be kind of I don't know, you kind of invest more, and especially in, like, academia, like, the industry wants you to just, like, invest, and I guess there's not a lot of, like, job support, so that's also a balance that you need to have, like, where are the like, what's the salary like, is there, like, protection, is your, like, energy being put to, like, a beneficial place.
I actually read this article from my honor seminar that it was about, like, how postdocs have trouble finding a permanent position after, like, they'll jump from fellowship to fellowship, and they won't be able to find, like, a tenure position at an institution because there aren't that many open positions, and, like, a lot of people, like, are set on staying in academia, and they really, like, they like the, I don't know, I guess they like the prestige, or they just like teaching or something. But it's just really hard for them to find a full-time job. And then there's also this age pressure where, like, I don't know, you're, like, in your 30s or 40s and you still don't have, like, a permanent position, and you're jumping from place to place. It's kind of hard to, like, keep that up for a long time.
Yeah, how like we rely on, like, the labor of adjuncts and, like, grad students to, like, do all this, and we, like, don't pay them. But also this applies to so many industries, like the video game industry, or, like, graphic ones. I, like, like, the Sonic movie about how he, like, he, like, looks super weird, and they, like, made the artist do, like, crunch time to like make him, like, better looking or something, and, like, the same team worked on like Lion King, all these big projects, and then a lot of them got laid off, especially after doing so much work. So it was like, how are you really being valued?
So I think we touched on it briefly, but to bring it back to careers, post-grad, you plan as well as Sally to get a PhD? Is that your idea?
Yeah, I'm applying to grad programs right now.
Or you're also doing some master's programs too, right?
Yeah, but I like master's is kind of hard because I do want to get a PhD in the long run, so I'm like, just, like, go for it now. Also, master's programs usually aren't funded as well as PhDs, so...
Okay, on to you, Ming.
I think I have a very different perspective of you two because, unlike Sally and Linda, I have no interest in staying in academia. I don't want to get a PhD. But yeah, that's like a different idea I have, because when we were talking earlier about how we want to spend our time and, like, putting our energy towards, like, our job or, like, outside commitments and stuff like that, I am definitely, or what I've realized from interning and just working odd jobs here and there, is that I am someone who needs to really enjoy my job. I cannot, like, I work at a desk job right now and I love what I do, but, like, in other desk jobs I would just sit there and, like, count the hours until I could leave, and I can't imagine working in that situation.
That every day.
Yeah, doing, like,
for the rest of your
life. When you retire at, like, age 70 now, it's, like, getting higher and higher every year, but, like, I could not do that. So I'm definitely looking for a position or a job that, like, I feel fulfilled in and I feel like I am helping. But also, I want time with my friends and family, but it's definitely more of a balancing act. And but I just, from my experience of working in a lab and then just hearing about research, I'm not interested in it. To me, when I attend college, like right now, I see it as more of, I want to go to college to get something out of it. I don't really want to give something back, which sounds bad, but I'm more of, like, I want to learn from people. I don't necessarily want to be doing the ones researching.
Yeah, like, you don't owe anything to...
The idea... Okay, so I took an honor seminar class about how to do research and then get grants and then publish your paper. And
I love
the
that
struggle, the struggle that people go through just to put their stuff online and to be, like, slightly accessible by college students is, like, so incredibly hard. I don't know how you two are, like, so passionate about that, because I would not be wanting to, like, rely on grants and, like, grinding my butt off to publish a paper that people will read, but, like, yeah, I'm definitely more of, like, I want to see a product, and I think that connects to my personality, I guess, more. So I was also in science and tech with Sally and Linda, and I started out as undecided because originally I applied to bio, and I didn't get into the bio program because at UMD it's one of...
Why don't they let you in?
It's, like, one of those programs that are, like, limited enrollment and LEP. so because they have so many people interested in like bio, I think business might be one of engineering. They limit how many people they let in automatically. So I guess my experience and grades in high school wasn't enough. So I didn't get in, and I got put into letters and sciences, which is like the undecided group. And at the time, I was really embarrassed, and I don't know if I mentioned. Did I mention it?
I didn't know you applied to bio.
Yeah. I didn't mention it to anyone. I don't even think I told my mom. I was just like, oh yeah, I want to be undecided. Like this is what I originally wanted to do. Because I was just so embarrassed. But I think it was a really good outcome for me because it did open my eyes to other possibilities. And then Linda was talking about public health, and so I like looked into it more. And I was like, okay, I'll do public health because it's not so like science, empirical science heavy, but it is more of like interdisciplinary view, a broader understanding of health. And it's like every class I took, except for a few this semester, but most of the classes I've taken in this major is so interesting to me that after every class, I'm like, I want to do that one. I want to do that one. Like when I took genetics, I want to be a genetic counselor. When I took
that'd be a cool job.
Epidemiology, they were talking about like studying diseases based on like social media and how you can track it. I was like, I want to do that. I even hit up like the researcher because I thought I was interested in research. But at the end of the day, some of my other extracurricular activities of like working on marketing for Technica and doing that, I really saw that, yes, I want to work in the healthcare space, but not in the like traditional way. And
yeah, I mean, it does intersect.
It does. Everything intersects with health, honestly. Yeah. It's so applicable to everything.
Oh, like, because Japan is there's a new thing, they're using, like, Sailor Moon to, like, put forth marketing against, like, syphilis. And yeah. Apparently, I don't know how effective it is, but it's, like, very popular.
Yeah, I'm taking, maybe I should start back. So for Technica, one of the programs that I did on the side, like, extracurricular-wise, I did marketing just, like, on a whim. And from that, marketing a nonprofit org and like a mission that you believe in, I was really motivated by that. But then I was like, but I still like health. I still like public health. I don't want to completely stray from that. And also like part of me was like, it's kind of embarrassing to like
to retrace your steps.
To retrace so many times and like I don't want to be a marketing major. Like I still like, and marketing is so like anything in the business world is so financially defined, and like everything you're doing is based on numbers. And I'd rather it be based on like number of people healthy and stuff, like make a more direct impact. So I was like, how do you combine the two? And then I realized there's a field called health communication.
Yes.
And it's all about like, yes, everyone on the academic level are doing these high level like studies. Even doctors are like doing research and stuff, but like how do you convey that to the public? I think that's really important. Also, when you like consider different levels of health literacy and understanding like how can someone who is a college educated student understand it versus how does someone who lives in a more rural area that has limited access to like social media or news hear about it. So I'm more interested in that. But then
there's more.
It's just an evolving story. So I intern now at this large reproductive health like organization, I would say. I don't really want to say the name just because it's so like politically.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you think I should just say it?
Up to you.
Yeah.
Okay, I work at Planned Parenthood.
Wow.
It's such a, it depends on, like, most of the people I say I work there, like, people around here are like, wow, that's cool, but, like, I do have to be careful about who I say it to because...
The older generation?
Do you do abortions?
Yeah, my grandma came after me, so it's just, like, I guess who you tell. But anyways, I work there for their brand and marketing, and even there, I realized... even as a nonprofit that has great missions and goals, it's still number driven at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Because while it is a nonprofit, you still need to make money to like survive. So marketing is still based on numbers, still based on like people coming in, and even more so because it's a nonprofit, it's so reliant on grants that everything
you have to appeal yourself a lot.
Everything has to be accounted for. And my boss is always like counting numbers and analytics, and it's just so number focused while I don't see like the impacts as much as I wanted to. So that was like kind of like something I wasn't expecting, and I thought that health communication was the field I wanted to go in.
Maybe because like Planned Parenthood is like so big, you can't really see the effects, but with like a smaller nonprofit.
We're like hitting the 45-minute mark, I think, but I'd say basically I've changed my mind several times, and now I'm looking into more of like design centered careers like UX design, and I don't want to keep saying that I'm straying too far from healthcare, but like I still want to incorporate that in some way.
Yeah.
So it's like it's complicated. Okay, I think we've rambled long enough about our own like career interests and experience, but we want to give something back to you guys. Maybe something we've learned from all of our experiences. Somehow, maybe you can take something from it and be able to either clarify what path you're going on or just like take some of our advice for fun. So, Linda, do you want to start?
So something that really helped me in this like career and educational thing was like my mentors. So when I worked at Micah, I had a mentor that I got close to. This was like the first like adult person that I really shared with, and I feel like she really taught me how to like love love work and like connect myself to it. And like through her and like how she believed in me, I was able to move on to other opportunities. But each mentor is very valuable, so I guess just like it's very important to like pick the people. Like when I'm applying to like PhD programs, I look at who the faculty is, I look at their grad students, and I guess like getting close to your mentor shouldn't be a scary thing.
I'm so scared of that.
Yeah, but I guess like finding mentors that value like non-hierarchical learning, that kind of challenge like power dynamics in academia, that practice like feminist teaching, feminist mentorship, like finding those values will like really help you a lot.
Cool. Yeah. Sally, do you have advice about finding a lab to work in?
Yeah, so I think overall, you should try your best to just apply to like a variety of things that you think you might be interested in, even if you don't like know for sure. Like even if you have a little bit of interest, just try it out and meet with the people, like talk to them. Send out cold emails because that actually works. But yeah, after you getting to like know what the lab actually does and talking to people, I think you should really think about the lab environment as well as research, because whether or not your lab has like a good learning environment really matters. And I guess some labs, like I have a friend who's working in this lab, and they're very like, I guess cold is the word. Like they're very driven by results, and they're not really like interested in teaching rather than like just doing lab work. So I think it's really important to have like a learning experience and gaining something from the lab that you can take away. So Ming, do you want to talk about like how you found your internship and some advice about that?
Yeah. First, I'd like to add on to what the two said, that finding the correct environment and like taking that chance. But I'd also say, like, if you do take that chance and you realize that it isn't the right environment for you, don't feel like you have to stay.
Yeah.
Especially as an undergrad. I think when I worked in the bio lab, I hated it. So as soon as like, oh, the semester's ending, I took that appropriate step of being like, I don't think this is the right direction for me. I can't come back next semester. And I think a lot of people are afraid that that looks bad, like to not have continued experience, but this is the time to do it.
Yeah, college.
And so on that limb, I'd say also when it comes to internships, do put yourself out there. Use your resources. I used LinkedIn. I check it pretty often. It's become like a habit for me. But sometimes you'll see really great opportunities on there. But also, if you have an organization in mind that you do want to intern with, especially nonprofits, a lot of time they just have openings on their website that you should check. So I bookmark like a few websites that I want to or a few companies that I do want to work at, so I check it maybe like once a week, so I'd suggest that. And then from there, apply, try to have someone read over your resume, and I think that's common sense. And then when you do get to your interview, don't be afraid to show your personality, because people are, at an internship, you're going to be working there, and hopefully for money, or at least credit, so you want to make it a fair exchange, so you don't want to hide your personality, and then you work there and they're like, what? Like, this is not the person I hired. So it should be a fair, like, reciprocal trade, I think, between the two.
Yeah.
And then at the internship, make sure you're doing your best to learn. Like, again, like, similar to the labs, it should be a learning environment. You shouldn't be fetching coffee every single day.
Like, you're not an employee. You should be getting something from it.
Especially if you're not paid, which is a whole nother conversation. But at your internship, you should be learning. And whenever you get to talk to your boss, if you don't feel like you're learning, you should bring it up with them and be like, hey, like, I am an undergrad and this is what I'm here for. I'm here to learn. So can we figure out an arrangement for that? But yeah, that's basically all the tips we had, because I think we're still going through it, and like we're still like learning new things every day. But if any of you all have tips.
Oh wait, I have one more
Yeah.
thing to add. In terms of research, one thing about labs is you try to find a lab that will let you do some independent research, and also if they are not really like giving you the opportunity, maybe you could join. Like if your university has like an honors program or like some kind of thesis program that will like force you to do independent research, then try to do that. Because I think independent research is really important to like, if you're interested in research, it'll give you a really good sense of what it's like and like what writing a paper is like. So that's my
That's
2
good.
cents.
I think that's a really good tip. And I think all of our advice, not to be too prideful, but I think we all have good advice because either way, everything you do is a learning experience. And as much as it might suck to work in an environment that is not the best, like, again, this is a time to learn what you do and don't like. So, this is a really long episode, definitely longer than our first 15-minute episode, but I hope you all learned something. I hope that the MBTI Myers-Briggs test was interesting at least, and maybe you'll go out, try to go to the 16 Personalities website and like try to take the test yourself. But also, as Linda said, don't put too much pressure on connecting your personality to your career, because again, that is a certain type of privilege, and like it is just a label at the end of the day. So you can always change and be dynamic. And yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this episode. We really had fun talking about it. I think we all talked longer than we expected to.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all we had for today. Thanks for listening to our second episode of Moving Oolong.
So if you enjoyed this episode, please follow us on Instagram at Moving Oolong Pod for future updates. And also feel free to join the conversation by reaching out to us at movingoolong@gmail.com.
And we're also on iTunes now.
Woo!
Make sure to subscribe and rate or review us on iTunes. It really helps us out a lot.
Until next time.
Bye.
Bye!